Welcome to the Fort Amherst Volunteer Health and Safety Wellbeing Pack. Fort Amherst Heritage Trust wants everyone who either works, volunteers or visits us to be safe whilst being here. To ensure this, we will ask that you follow this guidance. Volunteers have a duty of care of their own health and safety and that of others who may be affected by your actions at work. Volunteers must cooperate with supervisors and colleagues to help everybody meet their legal requirement. As a volunteer, if you have specific queries or concerns relating to health and safety in your workplace, talk to your employer, manager, supervisor, or a health and safety representative. Volunteers' responsibilities for health and safety include, but are not limited to, cooperate with site policies and procedures, follow correct training techniques, risk assessments and method statements, use all equipment for the correct purpose, safeguard your own safety and that of others by eliminating hazards, report anything unsafe to your supervisor or a ranger. When attending site, you must clock in and out. Wear the correct personal protective equipment for the task. Fort Amherst will provide you with suitable PPE for any task that we're asking you to complete. It's the volunteer's responsibility to keep this equipment in good, clean condition and report when and if it requires replacement. You're welcome to bring your own equipment, however this will be at your own risk. Whilst working on site, you must wear some form of branded uniform, whether this be a polo shirt, fleece or a high visibility vest. The basics of fire safety is that fire requires 3 elements. Those 3 elements are oxygen, heat and fuel. Should you remove any part of that triangle, whether that be the heat, the oxygen or the fuel, then the fire should start to extinguish. Fort Amherst's top tips for preventing fire are: ensure fire extinguishers are kept in their correct location. Keep areas tidy and litter-free. Always store and use flammable substances in an original container and in a locked cupboard. Only smoke in designated smoking areas. 1 plug per socket, and if not in use, switch off the socket. Never use any equipment with faulty or frayed wires and report to a supervisor or ranger. Carry out residual heat checks 30 and 60 minutes after any hot works have taken place. In the event of a fire, do not attempt to put the fire out unless you are trained to do so. Keep calm and act quickly. Raise the alarm by shouting, "Fire! Get everyone out as soon as possible." Do not stop to collect personal belongings. If there is smoke, keep low to the floor. Before opening a door, check whether it's warm. If it is, do not open it. Call 999 as soon as possible. If on the lower fort, the muster point is the cafe car park. If on the upper fort, the muster point is Maxwell Road. These are the basic fire extinguishers that you will find on site. They are water, foam, dry powder, CO2 and wet chemical. Please make sure that you familiarise yourself with the uses of each of the fire extinguishers should you need to use one. Manual handling is the movement of any items by either lifting, pulling or pushing. Before we start to move anything, you should consider how big the item is, how heavy the item is, and where you need to move it to. Next, you should consider whether anything could assist you with moving the item, such as a vehicle or aid. If these are not available, you should consider whether you can reduce the load or the distance travelled. This could be by dividing the load, asking for assistance from others. Fort Amherst has very few level floors. Therefore, there is a higher risk of tripping or falling. To reduce this risk, where possible, always maintain 3 points of contact. This means 3 of your limbs should be in contact. 2 legs, 1 arm, 2 legs. Appropriate footwear should always be worn, including steel toe cap if necessary. Areas of the fort can be dark, and so we do suggest that you carry a torch with you if you believe it is going to be dark. If you spot a spillage and believe it could cause somebody to slip, you should clear it up as soon as possible using appropriate equipment. COSH stands for the Control of Substances Hazardous to Health. This can include anything that you can breathe in, drink, ingest, or could be absorbed into the body. Like many items here on the fort, you should not use any substance unless you have been following the procedure or have been trained. You should always read the instructions and follow these, and wear the correct PPE, such as a face mask or gloves, etc. These are the symbols that you need to recognise on any chemical that we use. Please make sure that you've read the appropriate data sheet before using any chemical. Most accidents can be prevented by following the policies and procedures that we have in place. However, accidents will occur on occasion, and these must be reported. If an accident occurs, no matter how small, please ensure that you report this to the appropriate supervisor or ranger. They will apply first aid if required. They will also ensure that the accident is noted in the accident book. The accident books and first aid kits are in the workshops, both upper and lower, volunteer hut, and in the office. If emergency services are required and you cannot immediately get the individual's details, please take the contact details of any witnesses and record the time and date in the accident book. Whilst volunteering, you will gain access to a wide variety of equipment and tools. The rule of sight is that if you have not been trained on how to use this equipment, do not use it. The fort is public access site, and therefore barriers should be used when any major works are undertaken. If using a vehicle anywhere on site, the speed limit is 5 miles per hour. You should never take any site equipment off-site without the permission of the supervisor or manager. Should you require specific equipment for a project, please request this from your supervisor. As a large site, when calling emergency services, it is useful to know the exact location you're in. To help emergency services locate you, please use the What 3 words. Below are the What 3 words for the site and certain areas. Fort Amherst care about our volunteers. We want you to enjoy volunteering with us in a safe and clean environment. All volunteers have a responsibility for keeping the volunteer hut clean. Therefore, a very basic, if you use it, look after it and clean it afterwards policy is used within this area. When volunteering, you must report to either the office or the volunteer hut so we know who's on site. You will be asked to complete a health questionnaire. This is so we can ensure that we allocate tasks based around your medical requirements. If you are suspected of being under the influence of alcohol or illegal drugs whilst on site, you will be asked to stop work, and you will be suspended from volunteering whilst an investigation occurs. Any person found using illegal drugs on site will receive an automatic ban and be reported to the police. Congratulations, you've now completed Fort Amherst Health and Safety Induction.